James, let's transition here to the Sacramento Kings. Of course, they'll take on the New Orleans Pelicans. I don't know. Did you get anything confirmed on De'Aaron Fox? I know you tweeted that he was a part of shoot around today, but what's that mean for tonight?
He's part of shoot around, but I'm going to the Kings are going to be super cautious here because they're worried about a hamstring issue. It's a sore hamstring. It's not like some small tear or something or some pull, but there are indicators that you're looking at here when it comes to injuries, and you want to make sure that you're being super cautious. I wouldn't be totally shocked if we didn't see him tonight. I know he wants to play. I know the team wants him to play, but the medical staff is going to have a say in this. And so, again, it was a good sign that he's out there. He's not limping, and he looked fine. But that doesn't mean that they're going to run him out there just to run him out there. You got a couple of days off here. You got 2 days off in a row. So we're looking at 4 days off in a row if he doesn't play tonight versus jumping right back in against the Knicks on Thursday if he does play. So we'll have to wait and see, but I wouldn't be shocked if we hear around 5:36 that he's not going to play tonight.
Yeah. I kind of feel the same way. Want him to play, obviously, gives the team the best chance to win, but it's almost like the situation we talked about with the wrist with OKC, where late in this season, a lot of miles on him. You're maybe still in another few days of rest and recovery by having him sit, because they have an extra day, like Damian talked about. Anything that's not the 1 day in between feels like an
extra day,
a whole extra day. So you could have him potentially from Sunday to Thursday resting and recovering and trying to heal that hamstring, instead of throwing him out there tonight where, he might not be 100%. But this is that time of year, though, as well, for some of these guys.
Everyone's beat up this time of year. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, we saw him shaking his left wrist during the game. We saw Sabonis take a shot on his other hand, his left hand, in the last game. That looked like it hurt. He was shaking that thing for a while. Look, if you're not beat up and bruised, then it's because you haven't been playing. And the Kings most of their players have played the majority of the season. We're at that point where their top 8 guys are, almost every single game this season. Herter might have missed 1 game. Monk has missed 1 or 2 games. Fox has missed, I think, 4 or 5.
Yeah, what was he sick? I remember Kevin Herter was sick 1 game, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't actually, I don't think he was injured.
Was that the Toronto game?
Yeah, I can't remember.
Because TD played for him.
You might have. Okay, you might be right though. He might have been.
I feel like he just was sick and not
Toronto.
And I know with Malik had a stretch of games where it was getting ugly, and Mike gave him a break. He said the indicators are, he's like, Malik wants to play. I'm making the decision to not play him tonight.
Yeah.
And we need him to heal up and to get right and to be ready. And I think it helps. These guys do need breaks, and I know they're professional athletes, but this team they've practiced so much. They really are in top flight condition. But you're going to have these things, and the training staff, that's one of the problems that you have, is that every team collects all this data, but there is no true indicator and there is no true predictor about what it is that, if a player is going to have an injury or not. And so you can sit a guy and he can maybe that does impact him not getting hurt, but then you can sit a guy and then he can come back a couple of games later and still get hurt. You can also have a guy play through it. And so the collection of data, it's just not an exact science yet. It's just, again, it's all predictive stuff. And there are times where you can see a player run out of juice and you want to sit him. But then we see what's happened with Herter, where it looked like he ran out of juice. You didn't sit him. And next thing you know, he found himself again. So now he's at 20, 22 points a game over the last 3 or 4.
How many rebounds?
That's been a problem.
Why are you bringing up old stuff? Why are you bringing up old stuff?
You know what? We'll talk about, as James said, it'll be a problem. We'll talk about Kevin Herter's rebounding. Also want to ask you about Kessler Edwards. We saw our first extended look at him over the weekend as well. So we're just getting started. We got lots of Kings conversation coming up here with James Ham when we return here on Sacramento Sports Leader Stealing with KC on ESPN 1320.
Two things here. I'll go on the next break because there's a couple things that I want to address. Did the 13th round about stadium fights, stadium boxing fights. A lot of people were like, KC, so crazy. Boxing don't have that cachet no more. They can't do stadium fights. First of all, they do. They already do stadium fights. England, they rock out with 60, 70,000 for an Anthony Joshua fight. But I said specifically Canelo and Spence. They could do. Jesse said they could fill the whole thing up. Do 100,000.
I think you're shortchanging them with 60.
Yeah, I
think they're
said
doing
60,
100.
70. I said about 60,000, 50, 60,000. Well, people thought that was crazy. For Errol Spence's fight against Mikey Garcia, he had 47,525 fans in the AT&T Stadium. Canelo versus Billy Joe Saunders, 73,126. So, yeah, Canelo and Spence can do 100,000 in Jerry's world. Settle down, everybody. The other thing that I wanted to bring up was I was watching this game. It is 4-point game going into the fourth quarter in Boise with our Lady Hornets.
Yeah, are you on commercial? I feel like I've been on commercial for 10 minutes over here.
Well, it hasn't been that long, but I am on commercial.
Okay.
One of the ladies at Sac State, she goes up, blocks the girl's shot, gets called for a foul. She didn't think she fouled him. And she's like, come on. And the look that the referee gave her, now he didn't give her a technical foul, but the look was why I don't like referees. Who the hell you looking at like that?
You think referees are bad? Like referees in women's college basketball are way worse.
Who the hell you think you looking at like that? Settle down, ref. Settle down. Settle the hell down.
In the chat, James H, which is like nice. He keeps asking about Sasha Vezenkov. Like, there's a window when the Kings can actually negotiate with a player that's playing in Europe. That window's closed. So he will not be coming over this season. If he's going to come over, it would be next season.
What you think about that? What you like the possibilities?
Like I've watched enough of him that like we could have like an honest debate about how good he's going to be at the pro level, and it would be like opinionated and like what his ceiling could be. Maybe I'm right, maybe you're right, whatever. So as far as like when it comes to just scouting wise, like I don't know, he's interesting. Like he'd be another nice scoring option. But my problem is he's not a great defender. He's 6'9", but with short arms. He's a great shooter. So basically he's kind of like what you already have. And so if you want more of the same, that's fine. The problem is that this offseason, the Kings need to find the frontline version of Kessler Edwards. They don't need like another of the same guy. I think they can use him and he can be part of the forward rotation, but like Keegan Murray, are you going to bring back Harrison Barnes? Like he's not a swap out for Harrison Barnes. He's not that good. And so you got to wonder like how does he fit, and more roster makeup than it like in a normal situation. I would say, yeah, go for it. He makes sense. But when you look at again, Keegan and Harrison, who kind of have the same exact limitations, you need something different. And I could make the argument like it would be more of a debate than it would be anything else, but we could debate whether he's better than Trey Lyles or not. And then you got to kind of look at that. Like, would you rather have a guy who's been in the NBA who has shown you he can do it? That kind of thing.
Live on the Odyssey app, live on twitch.tv/ESPN1320, youtube.com/ESPN1320, wherever you are. We thank you so much for being here with us as James Ham is here with us. The Sacramento Kings take on the New Orleans Pelicans tonight at the Golden One Center. So let's dive into this, and we'll start with Kevin Huerter. I made a joke about, you mentioned Kevin Huerter and his scoring and how well he's shooting, and I said, hey, James, how well is he rebounding? Well, Fact is, he's not rebounding, as the statistics show, at least for the last 2 games. And Mike clearly a little, again, agitated by some players on his team not rebounding, as he pointed out in his post-game presser yesterday.
You know, the funny thing is, I think they got out rebounded by one rebound. So that's one thing. But they lost.
Also,
that game.
Domas gets like 20 a night at this point.
And that's what Kevin said today. Like, he was asked very specific about like him not getting enough rebounds. And he said, well, what am I supposed to do? Go steal Sabonis's rebounds? Like that's not going to fly.
You can do the Giannis trick.
Yeah.
Oh, Giannis.
Did you see Giannis's triple-double yesterday?
They took it away, by the way.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Oh, he was a rebound short of a triple-double, and I guess the bench was yelling at him. He stole the ball. He was under the basket, and he just threw it off the backboard and grabbed it. And the announcers were like, oh, does that count? I think he just got his triple-double. The bench was telling him to get a rebound. So
yeah, they took it away. They counted it at first.
How do you take it away? Well, it's a rebound. How do you take it away?
Because it was a disingenuous attempt at a shot.
I didn't even know that was a rule.
I don't know if it's a rule or not, but that's what they did today. They officially took the rebound away.
Come on, man.
Yeah. I mean, like, look, Kevin Huerter's
got to have a disingenuous
shot
attempt.
Kevin Huerter's never been a good rebounder throughout his career. I mean, he averages 3.3 rebounds per game. Like, having 1 or 0, like he has in the last 2 games, that's not going to cut it. You have to go mix it up. And I'd even say this, the reason they lost that game, very specific, they gave up 3 offensive rebounds that ended up being putbacks in the final, like, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where it was. You got the stops. You just couldn't get the rebound and finish the play. And it was guys not putting a body on people. And that's unacceptable. And that's where Mike is like, he doesn't want to point fingers, but he needs to point fingers.
And see that. Oh, go ahead. James.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, and pointing fingers in that situation, if you're going to do it, I need more than 7 combined rebounds from Keegan and Harrison. Those are your four. I know Keegan only played 20 minutes. He didn't really get an opportunity.
He was invisible.
But, I mean, they had 7 rebounds total. Trey Lyles had 8 by himself off the bench.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, Trey Lyles is one of those guys that sits there on the bench and is fully engaged in the game and looking and going, how can I impact this specific game? And then he goes in and he does whatever it is he needs to do to help the team. And that's a sign of a really good veteran, but also a really smart player. And certain nights, like he feels that they need more scoring. So he goes out and he scores a bunch, or they need more 3-point shooting. So he focuses on that, or they need someone to go crash. And that, for me, like, having veterans like that have that ability is huge. And they do take rebounds away from, when a guy like that has 8 rebounds and then Sabonis has 14 rebounds in that game. Like, there isn't a whole lot more rebounds, especially when you play defense so poorly that the opposition shoots 61% from the field. There's not a lot of defensive rebounds when they shoot 61% from the field.
We talk about the way that they played defensively, James, and that's obviously a big conversation coming out of that Memphis game, given it was only their second loss when scoring 130-plus points. I think the record now 15-2. When they score 130 plus, the other loss being, of course, the Los Angeles Lakers. But it felt like there were moments last night, James, where the Kings did play really good defense for about 20 seconds or 21 seconds. And then something happened. Somebody missed something. And Mike Conley's wide open in the corner, or somebody else is wide open in the corner. And I don't have this confirmed, but I think they shot perfect in situations like that, from time winding down on the shot clock to just standing alone in the corner. I think they were like 10 of 10. Will Z probably says that's a lie, but I'm saying it's true because it felt like every time I thought this Kings team had a good defensive possession, someone hit a 3 in the corner.
Yeah, or they gave up the offensive rebound and the putback. I mean,
and I think there's one time they did both.
Yeah.
They gave up the offensive rebound and it turned into a 3.
Yeah, the scatter 3. Yeah, the Kings, especially early in the season, they were notorious for the scatter 3. Like, whenever everything goes wrong, they get an offensive rebound, they kick out 3. And there was a bunch of them. Like, this team, they're really trying to protect the paint, and so they're giving up a ton of 3-point shots. It's not exactly a perfect situation, but again, it goes back to trying to save Sabonis from getting in foul trouble. in my opinion. Like for this team, when you start to see them run out of gas, the indicator is very clear. It's Sabonis's fouls.
Mm.
Like as soon as you start seeing his fouls start to tick up,
Mm.
that means that too many blow-bys are happening and he's trying to help out and he keeps picking up fouls. And so it's the first indicator. The second indicator is like, again, the 3-point shot. Like this team is trying to shrink in, protect Sabonis, and they're giving up threes because of it. And, they've got to get better. I also like Kessler Edwards steps on the floor. And at the point that he went in the game and there was 4 minutes left in the third quarter, Ant-Man had 22 points. He finished with 26. And I thought he was incredible. I thought he stayed in front of his man. I thought he was able to take, Mike Brown talked about it. He's able to take a hit and stay square, where a lot of guys like him aren't strong enough to take a hit from somebody. And so the way to neutralize someone's length like that is to get into their body and sort of knock them down, keep them on the ground, and then play back, and I don't think Kessler is a guy you can do that with. And I thought he was super, super impressive. And it also showed you, we always talk about, oh, well, one player isn't going to fix this thing. One player can impact this thing greatly on the defensive end. And he hit a 3, he missed a layup. Like, I'm not so worried about the offensive side. I just thought he was competent. He went and got rebounds. He had 3 or 4 rebounds in that game. And I thought they were impactful rebounds. He didn't know what to do once he got the ball. Like everyone else just takes off running with the ball once they get the rebound. He was kind of like, where's my guard? So you could see where he was a little out of sorts, but I think it really shows you like the Kings are going to get a look at the player archetype that they need for that position. That is a type of guy they need. Now, you need 2 or 3 of them, number one. Number 2, you need somebody who's like more proven than Kessler Edwards to play that position.
How are you going to get 2 or 3 of them, James? Like how? Like you get
you
2
keep
or
one of
3
them.
of them. Who's not playing? Who's off this team?
Well, it doesn't matter if they're off the team or it's going to come down to who's not playing. So we opened the season, KZ Okpala, Chima Moneki is that kind of guy. And then you have to look like this offseason, Alex Len, Terrence Davis, Trey Lyles, Chimezi Metu.
But they're already not playing.
Well,
like
yeah,
you
but
get
those
2 or
are
3
all
of them.
free
Now you're
agents.
talking like Kevin Huerter, Malik Monk, Davion Mitchell aren't playing no more.
No. Those guys are going to play. But what I'm saying is you're going to get 2 or 3 of these guys. So when you do have injuries or when guys aren't playing well, they can step on the court.
I got you.
Even if it's in practice, like somebody has to play. And that's where I kind of look at Sasha and go, okay, look, it's fine if you bring in Sasha for next year and you've got these 3 forwards that are all kind of the same body type. That's a problem. You don't have the athleticism and you don't have the length that you need at that position. So that's where you're like, okay, how am I going to fit another guy in? Or how am I going to fit 2 of these guys in?
Yeah.
The Kings need to figure out a way. I remember the first year of Dave Yeager when they tried to build a playoff team and then it did not go well and they ended up blowing the whole thing up mid-season. But they walked into that season with Matt Barnes, Omri Caspi, and Rudy Gay all at 6'7", 6'8", 6'9", that could play the 3 and the 4. By the end of the season, they had nobody. By the next season, they didn't have a single player like Bogdanovic at 6'6". They didn't have a single player between that and like center size. And it was a huge problem. So this team needs to find those athletic, long guys. Like Toronto has like 14 of them. Kings, they don't even really have one until now where they have Kessler Edwards. Even like PJ Dozier is one of those guys that gives you like great length, sort of height to wingspan differential that you can put on the perimeter and have them defend somebody.
Real quick, because I agree with everything you talked about with the way Kessler played on Saturday. Loved it. Now, the next question that we were trying to figure out is, will we see that again?
Yeah.
We might not.
Because a lot of times, we see like KZ has a good outing and then we don't see him for like 2-3 weeks. Do you think, and I know we don't know anything, but do you think maybe this is the beginning of Kessler getting more of an opportunity, or is it
the Kessler Edwards era has begun?
Is it more likely a one-off?
In all honesty, it very well could be a one-off because Mike Brown was very honest about he did not go into the game with that as a game plan. That was not the game plan. Was not to go Kessler Edwards.
Mhm.
They even tried PJ Dozier first, and that didn't work out. And they're like, well, might as well give this other kid a shot. Go ahead and run out there and go do what we're asking you to do.
Mhm.
And so if it were something where they designed it, like, they have in the past where it's like, hey, Shemezi Metu is going to get a 5-game run at the backup center spot. And if he does well, we'll leave him out there. If he doesn't do well, maybe we'll end it at 3.5 games, but we're at least going to give it a shot.
Mhm.
That's not what this was. This was nothing is going right. We look horrible. We can't defend anybody. Let's throw some things at the wall and see if they stick. And Kessler said it too. He goes, I didn't expect to play. He's like, I didn't know if I was going to play or not. He's like, I got to stay ready in case I do. But like the game plan, I wasn't part of the game plan for the night.
You're listening to D-Lo and KC on KIFM West Sacramento 98.5 FM KRX QHD2 Sacramento ESPN 1320. Always live on the free Odyssey app. Missing any part of today's show, you can download the D-Lo and KC podcast wherever you get podcasts from on that same Odyssey app, on Apple, Spotify, whatever your preference is. Never miss anything when you subscribe to the D-Lo and KC podcast. Let's stay with Saturday's game versus Minnesota for a minute. You brought up Keegan sort of briefly a moment ago. Keegan is arguably the most invisible he's been in a Kings basketball game all year. I heard you and Brendan talking about normally on the Kings Beat podcast. He's doing something, and you could see it, and you know Keegan is out there. Boy, he was forgettable on Saturday, arguably for the first time this season.
Yeah, I think Mike just saw something in it too. Like there was something he spotted, or that one of the other coaches spotted and said, let's just pull the plug on this one tonight. Because what you don't want to do is like affect his confidence and stuff like that. It's not like he shot a bunch and missed a bunch. He just wasn't part of the flow, but he also, I think he was a step slow. And it's what we saw from a couple of guys. That's again, when guys are a step slow, they get beat, right? But the other thing you see is the fouls. And we started seeing one foul after another for Keegan, where, and I know I don't think he even had like massive foul trouble, but you could see the types of fouls. He was so off balance and out of sorts, and like grabbing and like really like rough, weird fouls. You could just see that it wasn't his night, and that's okay. He's a rookie. He's a rookie on a 3rd seed. He's playing 30 minutes a night. This is one of those things where you're going to have moments where he might not hit another rookie wall, but that doesn't mean he doesn't have a night where he just can't, figure it out. And that's okay. Like that's what is supposed to happen in your rookie season in the NBA. He's just now entering like the 3rd season if he were a college player. The college season is roughly 30 games. We're in the 64 games in, 60. What is tonight? Game
37 and 26.
64 tonight. Yeah. So they have 18 games left after tonight. So yeah, hopefully he doesn't have a lot of these games, but this 2-day break coming up, it's going to be huge for a guy like that.
So you think, James, like this is kind of what we're going to see for the rest of this year, where if he doesn't have it, Coach Brown probably won't let him play through it. He's just going to be like, oh, you don't have it. I'm going to look to go in a different direction tonight.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing, because look, early in the season, the first 50 games of the year, if you want to let a guy play through a little bit, that's okay. This is about winning right now. It's not about learning a lesson. It's not about, those things can be taught while you're sitting on the bench watching. They can be taught in practice in a film session right now. This is about, you got 19 games to prove you belong. And you got a 4-game lead in the loss column over the Golden State Warriors to host a playoff series, and so the Kings have circled, like they need to make sure that if they can do it at all, they need to be in the top 4, and so they can host. And that's what I think they're doing. They're going for the win, and it's what they should do. Like they haven't been in this position, but like the like on the fly, learning on the job things, that's over. That's over now. It's over in the playoffs. If you're not going to lose a playoff series because you're trying to teach Keegan Murray a couple of lessons. That's not fair to him. It's not fair to the rest of your team. It's not fair to your fan base.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
2 games up on Phoenix right now, 1 game back from Memphis for the 2 spot. And tonight's game, sneaky important. I imagine Kings are really big with Laker fans tonight. Kings beat the Lakers. There's a 31-34 tie between the Pelicans, the Jazz, and the Lakers there in the 9, 10, and 11 spots. The Pelicans are, as Will Z laid out for us, that's a tough defensive team who create, I think, a lot of challenges. Not surprisingly, probably the biggest tonight is Brandon Ingram.
Yeah. See, again, we talk about these teams that are around the Kings.
Kessler Edwards, come on down.
Yeah. But I mean, look at Minnesota and you keep thinking, oh man, this is a bad matchup team. Like they're teams that are around where the Kings should have been in development. They're around the same, like they just haven't won as many as the Kings. They've had those moments where the wheels have completely fallen off the bus or in both of their, like they both have had major injury problems all season long, whether it's Cat or Zion or Brandon Ingram missing 15 games or whatever it was he missed. Like all 3 of these teams, they're, in my opinion, they're all around the same basic skill and like development level. Like you can, like one team you could favor over the other. The fact that the Kings are the one team that's sitting at 3 and these other guys are like 6 or 10 is, to me, it's really more about injuries than it is anything else. And so like it's a coin flip when you go up against these teams. They're good teams. It's not like the Kings are head and shoulders above them. That this isn't a San Antonio Spurs team or Oklahoma City team even. This is a team that or the Utah Jazz. Like the Kings are better than those teams.
Mm-hmm.
This is like very specifically teams that they should be battling, and whether it's for a 3, 4, 5, 6, or it's for a 7, 8, 9, 10. This is what you kind of expected at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, man, it's it's just one of those things, man, where you're going up against, like you mentioned, a good team. It's if you lose to the Pelicans, it's not a bad loss and all this other. At least I don't deem it that way. I look at it as a team that, while they are banged up, they still have dangerous players out there. CJ McCollum is extremely dangerous. Obviously, Brandon Ingram, extremely dangerous. You got guys like Murphy out there that can ball as well. So Hernan Gomez gave them fits last time they played. So it's a game that the Kings, I'd like to see them win, and if they can get it, everyone's a good win with 18 games left, right?
Yeah.
Everyone. There ain't no bad. When they play San Antonio, they win now. That's a good win.
Good win.
I'll take that. Every game's a
You
good
beat
win.
Houston by 1 point. That's a good win.
Who cares?
Yeah, it's a good win.
I mean, that's how you have to look at, and we can talk about, they're a game behind Memphis, right? How I
I don't
look
like
at
the way
Yeah,
you
we
said
didn't have
that.
to have
I don't
quotation
like the way
marks.
that
They
you
literally
said
were-
that.
well, no, but when I look at when you get to this point in the season, you have to look at how many games that the opposition has left. So if, again, the Golden State Warriors, they're down to 16 games. The Kings have 19. Well, they trail the Kings by 4 games in the loss column.
Mhm.
And they still have, I think it's either 6 or 7 road games left, where they're 7-23 on the road. So they're a bad road team. The Warriors can catch the Kings without any question. 4 games in the loss column, that's not insurmountable. But when you really start to look at it, they only have 16 games left. That means that just right off the bat, the worst they could be is 12-4, and one of those wins has to be against the Kings, right, to finish out their schedule, and that's not easy. Like, and then the Kings control their own destiny too. It depends on how many games the Kings can win, and but then we look at the other group, right? So you look at Minnesota at 32 losses and the Kings at 26. 6 games is a lot to make up. That's almost, again, at this point, it's almost impossible. 7 games for a team like Minnesota, 7 games for a team like the Pelicans. So what we're talking about tonight is not the Kings fighting to hopefully, whether the Pelicans are going to pick up a full game on them and they could be a team that comes up and gets them. We're down to like maybe 2 teams that can catch the team for the Kings for the 3rd seed. And that's, of course, the Suns. who have a good shot at it,
Mhm.
and it's the Warriors. And like every one of these games is so paramount for this team. So
A couple of quick things.
Yeah, man. Yeah,
Sac
man.
State Hornets women's basketball team moving along
Let's
in the
go.
Big Sky tournament here. All of a sudden, this game turned into a blowout.
Yeah, they just stepped
It
on
was
the gas on these
yeah,
girls.
it
Stepped
was
on the gas on these girls.
It was a fight for a minute. Now I'm not going to take credit, but when I turned it on, it was close. And then I don't know if Coach Campbell alerted them, hey, D'Lo's watching, and they turned up. But this game turned into a blowout in the final minutes. And
Well, look here,
and
we
Sac
just
State's moving along.
got to thank D'Lo.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay. So air horns for D'Lo. Now, big ups to our Sac State women's basketball team. And that was the final. Big Sky champions.
So the I'm sure Ryan will alert us to this, but I don't know if they've won too many games. I think Sac State women, they won a game or two last year in the tournament, I think. But them winning this game, I mean,
But this wasn't the final, was it?
No.
Why did that say? Okay, they fixed it.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it said
going to
Big
the
Sky
semifinal.
championship game on the bottom of the lower third, but they fixed it.
Bad job by them.
I should know better than the trusted broadcast.
It's they're going to the semis, but I don't know how many games they've
look,
won
it says
in
it right
recent
there.
history. Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. That's a bad job by them. Bad job by Big Sky Network. But I wonder how many games they've won in women's basketball, like conference games they've won in Big Sky, Sac State Big Sky history. Can't be too many. This has got to be one of the few wins they've gotten. So they're on to tomorrow night.
Let's go, Katie. Let's go, Coach. Here's another one. Not really air horn worthy, but I honestly wasn't confident this would happen. The Seahawks and Geno Smith are finalizing a new multi-year contract.
Yeah.
I didn't 3-year deal. Well,
60.
Well, I think I'm getting NFL numbers here.
Oh man, you're getting NFL.
Yeah, I'm getting NFL'd. Ian Rappaport says 3-year deal worth $105 million for Geno Smith. Now,
ouch.
We'll find out. I'm having a tough time believing that's $105 million. 3 years, maybe
Numbers
60 to 70.
His numbers were really good last year, but I don't know if $35 million a year.
I don't think that's what this is.
$52 million guaranteed.
Okay, because I don't have that note. So $52 million guaranteed.
Yeah,
that's the money
with the ability to earn $52 million.
So what that
guaranteed.
almost assures is it's really a 2-year deal that they could sneak out of in the third, and he'll make his $52 million over those 2 years. But it looks like Geno Smith back with the Seattle Seahawks. I like that. I like that for Geno.
Yeah.
I like that for Seattle. I thought he absolutely earned the right to that contract last year.
As much as I don't like those guys, I mean, it sets up perfectly for the timeline that they probably want. You got Geno there for 2 years. You draft a quarterback, let him develop under a guy like Geno Smith. And, 2 years when you cut Geno, your rookie will be ready to go.
Yeah, that's probably what they do. Okay. This is what we keep moving here with Kings Talk. You were mentioning, you had a little tone too when you talked about the Kings being healthy. We've talked about that a lot this year, and the Kings kind of being in the position that they've been because they've been in the healthiest. And we can look at the, Ingram being out and then Zion being out, and we could look at the different injuries. Karl Anthony Towns isn't playing right now. Kings don't have to apologize for that. I think referencing the fact that they've been healthy that they've been healthy, it almost diminishes what they've accomplished this year.
Oh, no. I'm not trying to diminish that at all. I think that the fact that the Kings are healthy, number one, I think a lot of it is
healthy is their best player playing with a broken hand.
Yeah.
Or one of their best players playing with a broken hand.
Exactly. And I'd also say the training staff is all new this year. Some of them have been here before, but like the top of the training staff is all new this year. So kudos to those guys. I think they've done a remarkable job of keeping this team healthy. But I'm also going to point to something that I think we've talked about a couple of times. The Kings practice more than everyone else. They are like running guys out there for huge minutes. I just think that this team is in better condition than most teams.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this whole thing that we see in the NBA where guys are taking time off to do this and that, whether it's load management or whatever, I think it does a disservice to the player themselves. Like, I don't think players are well, I can guarantee you players work out more now than they did in the 80s and the 90s. They just don't play nearly as much. They're not able to stay healthy because I don't think that they're practicing nearly as much. They're like, so I think technology in this situation, it could be a little bit of a hindrance. The fact that the Kings are younger than a team like, say, the Warriors or the Lakers, that comes into play. But I think also going out and getting guys who don't have a huge injury history is probably a good thing. Malik Monk, Kevin Huerter, these aren't guys that have missed historically like huge chunks of time in their career, and you're getting guys who play, and that's big too.
The other thing about it is, like, look, man, there's nothing the Timberwolves can do about Cat. Like, that's an injury. There's nothing you can do.
Yeah, they paid him. Now there's nothing they can do about it.
Well, yeah, but like I'm talking about the injury. Like, that's a serious injury. Not rub some dirt on it and go play. Like, I'm not saying that. But the Kings play through their stuff. They play through their little nicks and knacks. You see, De'Aaron Fox had the foot earlier this year. He got back.
Yeah.
D'Angelo Russell had an ankle. He ain't played in about a week and a half. And I'm not coming
Brandon
at
Ingram missed like 20 games with a toe injury that they were like, it's not even turf toe.
With Rudy Gobert, the second time they played Minnesota didn't play. Kings don't load manage, and if they have little knickknacks, they do everything they can to get on the court. If they can't play, they can't play. But they do everything they can to get on the court. So a lot of people talking about, the Kings are the healthiest team. Yes and no. Like, they got the same knickknacks that a lot of teams have. You guys just sit when you have the knickknacks. Kings play through them.
Y'all soft. Y'all ain't tough like the Kings.
Well, I'll tell you, like, historically speaking, too, like, Cat is a guy who just misses games. Like, there are certain guys that around the league that they just don't play. If there's something wrong, they don't play. And he's one of those guys. And, we had the issue a couple of years ago where they were actually winning early in the season. And then he just missed a huge amount of time, a ton of time. And they kept telling him, like, we keep doing MRIs and stuff, but we're not seeing anything going on. Like, what is it? Why are you not playing? And like, the vibe around that team was horrible, like very specific. He's just not playing. What do you mean? He's decided he's not going to play. There's nothing we can do to make him play. So the Kings don't have those guys. Yeah. And they got a bunch of guys who are 24, 25, 26. And, they're in the prime of their career or a little short of their prime of their career before they get to their prime. And the only guy who's playing major minutes on this team that's 30 is Harrison Barnes. So
he's just barely 30.
Who takes care of himself,
I feel like Karl Anthony Towns is the guy they need to move on from. Just turn the Kings over to King Edwards and keep it moving.
T-Wolves over there.
Yeah.
The crazy thing is, I don't think they can move him I know they can't move him this year. I don't know if they can move him next year, like, legally.
Oh, no, they can legally move him.
And I know this year they legally can't because he just signed that contract.
He's a base year compensation player. So if that's what it is that you're talking about, I believe. So yeah, it makes it very difficult to trade him. You can actually trade guys, but it's just slightly more complex.
I don't think he's going nowhere.
Oh, I don't think he is either.
Yeah, 2 years.
I don't think he is
either. They
either.
just signed him to that extension.
Yeah, I just think that they should. But yeah, I don't think he's going anywhere either.
That was the whole crazy thing. I don't think they can move Gobert either. Like, I think they were locked in. The only move they could make was D'Angelo Russell, and they made it. And obviously Ant-Man, but they wouldn't do that. But as far as like the two guys that people look at as maybe the potential problem, I think they're locked into those guys next year too.
We'll see.
Well, I think they'll give it a shot next year, no matter what I just don't know, what's going to be different for that team.
Yeah.
I mean, if they just hit 50-something% of their threes like they did
They
on,
make 23s a night. They'll be
they'll be fine. They'll be Belo and JC and just outscore them. You can't score with Minnesota. If they just do that, they'd be fine. Just score with Minnesota. No big deal.
Yeah. It's Cat was so reliable early in his career. He didn't miss a game for the first 3 years. Even in year 4, he played 77. And then it's like 35, 50.
Yeah. Karl Anthony Towns has a $62 million player option in 27-28.
Player option.
My goodness.
Okay, so and he's 27 this year, 28, 29, 30, 31. When he's 32, $60 million player option, 60.6.
My goodness.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say Cat's opting into that joint.
Yeah. And look, and here's the other thing about it. Cat is like a really good ball player.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really good ball player. And I honestly think here, maybe shifting the blame a little bit, they would have been fine without getting Gobert. They would have been fine. It's just the combination of the two just kind of messed everything up.
But they weren't, I mean, maybe they were better. They weren't good last year. They were maybe a little bit better than they are now. Like, I feel like Minnesota's been a disappointment for a long time.
Yeah.
Not just because of Rudy Gobert.
No, but and Cat, you could say, you could use the argument with Cat. He hadn't had nobody. He didn't play with nobody. And when he finally did, you got Anthony Edwards in there that was pretty good. You surround him. You went and get Kyle Anderson this past year. Like, you're putting him around players that could play. He gets hurt, first of all. And then you go and get this player in Rudy Gobert that just doesn't match up. So when you finally get players there, last year, I
wonder if they even called about Donovan. Did they legit just call Utah and go, hey, we want Rudy Gobert? I need to know how that went.
I don't know what A-Rod was thinking.
I think Utah was...
I heard A-Rod made the call.
I think Utah was sitting there.
James's favorite, Alex Rodriguez.
Not sure. Yeah. The A-Fraud. They were sitting there like not quite sure what they were going to do. And when they got the offer for Gobert, it was like, oh, we got to take that. And we got to blow this
in. For sure.
It's go time.
Oh, my God.
How many first-round picks did they get out of blowing their team up? And they're still competitive. They're still more competitive right now.
They're still a playing team, right?
Yeah, they're still more competitive now than the Kings have been in the last 20 years.
The crazy thing about Minnesota is...
Match Luke Walton's win total. They got 31 wins.
The crazy thing about Minnesota is they have one piece that they can move in D'Angelo Russell. They didn't even get anything for that. They turned that into Mike Conley.
Oh, but I think Mike Conley makes you a much better team. He's a leader. He's played with Gobert.
And that's what it sounded like, was they did it because they think Mike Conley's some sort of like Gobert whisperer, which to me screams you did something wrong when you have to bring in a whisperer. Something went awry if you had to go get one very specific player who might be able to get the most out of this guy.
Well, and you needed to use the one asset you had to go get a whisperer.
Okay, but is that team, what do they look like now? They look like the cold weather Utah Jazz. Like, basically, if you look at Anthony Edwards and Donovan Mitchell, I mean, sure, Mitchell's a better player now, but maybe 2 years from now we might see that Ant-Man is equal to or better than. And then you basically have his point guard and his center. And I guess if you had Cat, it would make things different. But, I told you guys in the beginning, no one can defend the perimeter on that team. If you add Ant-Man and Cat to the same roster, the problem they had in Utah is in the playoffs, everyone just picked on those guys and absolutely abused Gobert, made him go play the perimeter, and he couldn't do it, and they lost every series. That's why.
And here on Belo and JC in Minnesota, the other issue is they're getting away with it right now, not necessarily because they have Mike Conley, but because they don't have Cat. And that's not a shot at Cat, but you can't play Gobert and Cat together. So They're forced to
That's
just play one,
right.
and now you got McDaniels and slow-mo that can play. With with Cat there, one of those two, who are your two best perimeter defenders, are going to be off the court.
But that's the thing I keep thinking about when we talk about teams getting healthy. One, you have that situation that you just laid out right there. They have to figure out how to play together. And I'm pretty sure Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson have to figure out how to play together.
Mm-hmm.
Unless the Pelicans have just ruled Zion Williamson out forever, because I feel like they haven't mentioned his name since the All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
They said he would be reevaluated after the All-Star break, which by my calculations is now. I have not seen, heard anything on Zion Williamson.
I thought he had another setback. That's what I thought. That's where it was.
That was before the All-Star break, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And it was because originally it was, at first he wanted to be a part of the All-Star game. And then it was like, he's not. And then it was like, okay, there's another setback. And then it was, he'll be reevaluated following the All-Star game.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we just haven't, I guess technically they weren't wrong. Like, it's still after the All-Star game. It just might be another week or two before he's evaluated. But the point being is, those teams have to figure out how to play together. This isn't, and I think that's the point you were trying to make with Phoenix earlier, but this isn't Kevin Durant, who could come in, one, be the best player on the team, be one of the best players in the world, and just seamlessly fit somewhere. That's not what Zion and B.I. are. That's not what Cat and Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards are. Like, there's a figuring out process here that they might not be able to figure out.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin Durant can lace up his shoes, walk onto any team in the league, and put up 50 in the first night.
Yep.
That's who he is. Like, all you got to do is feed him. It doesn't matter where he is on the court. He'll find a way to get to his spots.
Mm-hmm.
That's these other teams.
But the scary thing about KD doing all of that is he could do that, and he could also let, in this case, Devin Booker get 38.
Yeah. No, I mean, when the Pelicans specifically, they haven't been able to put this team together, like, for any sort of functional, like, chemistry building moments at all. Like, they're not battle tested.
Mm-hmm.
They're battle tested with some guys that thumped the Kings when everybody was out, and they walked in with no Valanciunas, no Brandon Ingram, no Zion, and they thumped the Kings. That group is fine, but these other pieces you're putting in, they are huge, huge pieces to your overall puzzle that have just never functioned together at all. They've never had an opportunity to grow together. So, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but that's a team. Go ahead. If you make the playoffs and you get a 3-7 against those, 3-6 against those guys, or a 2-7, okay, big deal. You get those guys when things go wrong against a team like that. Like, what is their default setting? They're not just going to bench Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson and bring in Herb Jones and Murphy and say, okay, we're just going to go back to bare bones with what got us here, because the future is those other guys. It's going to be tough.
To your point, Damian, we've only seen the Pelicans go off when Zion and Ingram, one of them is out.
Mm-hmm.
Last year, towards the end of the season, they took off when Zion was out and Ingram was able to operate. This year, when they were the 1 seed early in the season, Ingram was out and Zion was able to operate. When they're both together, it's been less than stellar.
Remember when Utah was the 1 seed?
Remember when Portland was the 1 seed?
Well, I remember that. Portland now 30-34 on the season, sitting in the 13th spot. We'll come back. How can the Sacramento Kings get a half of game out of the 2 spot? We'll talk about that with James Ham when we return here on Sacramento Sports Leaders, Stilo and KC on ESPN 1320. Okay. But on the stream.
Okay.
114 games in 4 seasons.
I'm sorry. That $52 million is the first year.
What is?
Geno Smith.
He's making $52 million this year?
He gets 52 games, which probably means there's a signing bonus and then guaranteed money, and it totals $52 million.
I'm going to run to
which probably means they could cut him the second year. Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have your fob? I forgot
Yeah.
my little.
Yep.
I drove my son's car today. Sarah's coming up for the game tonight.
Oh, that's cool.
Bringing the little dude. Cool. All the way back.
Bryce, obviously James is. I don't think Kenny is. I'm definitely not. I gotta figure out. I gotta get there next Monday. That's the one. I need to see Giannis. I need to get there next Monday and next Tuesday to see Giannis and the Celtics. Hey, right on, Matt. Nice meeting you too, man. We appreciate you. Thank you, brother. It's next Tuesday. Yep. But nope, sorry. 2 weeks from tomorrow. It's Bucks are next Monday. Celtics are the following Tuesday, the 21st. Oh, right on, Bryce. Your birthday's tomorrow. Oh, yeah, we'll be there. We'll be there Thursday for sure. We will absolutely be there Thursday. Most definitely. Most definitely.
The hell? Where'd James go?
He had enough of this and he rolled out. Are you going Thursday?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I gotta be there for TNT.
Indeed. Oh, there we go. Birthday party. I'm with it. Just turn up.
The hell was that?
He did it
What?
the door.
Don't know what these guys are passing over here.
It's the key fob.
Yeah, I drove my son's car today, so.
We are kicking off Focus on Social Media here at Odyssey Sacramento.
Let's go. Damn, you sure you know this ain't no 40? Well, you know they don't sell that outside the black neighborhood. At least you got my Cheetos, though. I gotta work some things out. Look, as I said, I was going to the game on Thursday.
Oh, yeah? You think you going to the game, huh?
Trying to work some things out.
Jazz is funny. Now you can't go on principle alone. Jazz like, what am I going to look like letting you go to the game after I came in here with the eyeballs?
Or it would be, if you see me at the game, you know she let me go to the game.
That's pretty much it. Yep. Or if you don't see Kenny there, that means Jasmine's there. Which means Serge Ibaka is not too far behind.
That damn Serge. Who did he sign with again? He signed with somebody, didn't he?
Serge.
No, I don't think so. The latest on surrounding.
Yeah, I see that. Details on a recent players-only meeting where a veteran pushed for better discipline on the road. So Elon still ain't fixed Twitter yet, huh? Oh, yes, he did.
Who is this?
That's from Shams.
For who though?
Memphis.
See? He opened up Pandora's box, bro. All this was kept under wraps until he just kept on with his arrogance.
Yeah, what a mess.
We'll talk, baby. We'll talk. We'll talk. She's like, don't baby me.
Well, Kenny might be off the rest of the week after this.
You might have to see more of me.
Might get every chore needed done.
It's funny.
Jesse's working on a really dope guest for tomorrow that he just wants us to keep quiet. Like, we know the person's on, we just don't know the time. And Jesse won't.
I mean, you could say it. I mean,
Well-
the guy who I've been talking to said we could pencil it in and stuff, and now we're just running out of time.
So we could pencil it in
The
tomorrow.
manager said that too.
Huh?
Man.
That's why I'm saying, like, it's up to you guys.
Well, E40 canceled like the morning of and showed up on Bonte Hill and the morning rose.
We've been hurt before. That's why.
We have been hurt before.
We can say it.
We
can say it.
we're working on times right now. I'm emailing with them right now, but it's up to you guys.
Okay.
We can say it.
So tomorrow on the live stream, Ricky Starks is going to join
Let's
us.
go. Let's go. This is not a work. This is not a work. Tomorrow on the live stream on D-Lo and KC, the Rick is going to be here.
Ricky Starks is going to join us ahead of AEW's appearance at the Golden One Center on Wednesday night. So, yeah.
This is going to be an all-timer.
Ricky Starks will be with us. Now, that may not mean something to everybody, but those that get it, those that get it, they get it. So Ricky Starks will be with us tomorrow here on D-Lo and KC. James, are you excited for Ricky Starks to join us?
Well, I just hit the GTS, so yeah. Now I googled that link.
Yeah.
So yeah, I understand.
What if?
First of all, now I know who he is.
Yeah.
Secondly,
What if the same day we had Ricky Starks on here, we could get Kessler Edwards on the game?
Okay, calm down.
now you're getting out of control.
I don't look like Kessler Edwards. Like, y'all think all light-skinned people look alike. Like, I don't look like Kessler Edwards.
Well,
yeah,
he would
and,
look more
and-
like you.
and
He-
Kevin
he-
Herter isn't my son. Can we? What would happen? We would break the internet if me and Kevin Herter were on here together. His
I don't think we're contractually allowed to do that. I think there's some hangups of getting Kevin Herter on with us.
we had a good time with him today at shoot around. Chris Tavares was
scoring
kind of,
20 plus points a game. He should
Yeah.
be.
yeah, I think Chris was on a bit of a roll. He used the A word in his first question. His
Excuse me?
second question, he asked Kevin about whether there's like vitriolic, like someone yelling and screaming at them behind the scenes, and Herter just looked at him and said, "That's a pretty big word." Not sure what that one means. It was a good moment. Like the whole intro to his stuff was pretty wild.
Good spirits for Kayvon and the Kings, even though they lost on Saturday. They're in good spirits.
It doesn't feel like they've been down too many times this year. Even when
No.
they lost 4 straight to start the season, it never felt like I remember the Malik. We're right there. We'll get it. We're fine.
Right.
We're right there.
I know I was talking to someone today, and they said the Kings haven't had a 3-game losing streak since November.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like
Wow.
that's wild.
It was like November 20th or something.
And
Looked
you
that up
know
one
what?
day.
That's intentional because I remember when
It's intentional when they lose in previous seasons. I know that.
well, there's that. But
stacking
I
3-game
remember
losses.
after it was the maybe they had lost. No, I take that back. It's almost a 3-game, but they had lost 3 in a row. Indiana came into town. They beat the hell out of Indiana. And Sabonis specifically said, "Hey, like we were very serious that we can't let 3 turn to 4.
Mhm.
Like that was very important to us. We talked about that. We talked about that's. I'm assuming Mike Brown maybe spoke to him about it, but talked about how in this league, yeah, you're going to lose 2-3 games in a row at a time. You can't let 3 turn into 4, and they're very aware of that it seems at all times. Like when they lose a couple games, cool. Lost a couple games. Don't let us, like, we got to get tonight. And they play with a sense of urgency after they've lost a couple games.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at tonight's game as that game because the Knicks are on a tear, and that's going to be a battle on Thursday.
Kings beating the Knicks.
Well, they might beat the Knicks, but again, the Knicks are one of those teams that have physical.
The Knicks are playing Charlotte tomorrow. They're going to be on a 10-game winning streak. Entering Golden One Center.
Yeah, so that's what you gotta look what's out ahead of you too, and go, okay, look, we gotta focus tonight. We got to get this one no matter what, and then go into Thursday's game at least square.
By the way, Milwaukee's coming up. Boston's not too far away. I think there's a Phoenix matchup on Saturday.
Yeah, this is a brutal stretch.
Yeah, this is bad.
Yeah.
But I've always said this team can compete with anyone. Now, anyone didn't include Kevin Durant on the Phoenix Suns, but this is a team that can compete with any team they step on the floor with.
Absolutely.
They got those guys twice. They got the Suns twice to finish out the season, I think.
Yeah.
Bring it on in.
Yeah.
Bring it on in. We're the Sacramento Kings.
I thought I thought it was tough, but I thought they matched up well against Phoenix. I no longer feel that way. I just don't. Because, like, Harrison? Like, hey, Kessler? You got KD tonight. Like, that's just I thought everything matched up decent with that team. Tough, but decent. Now it's not. I don't know. And that's true for a lot of teams. I don't know who you put on Kevin Durant.
I don't know, though, because they don't have anyone that can go on and play a De'Aaron Fox either. Like, yeah, I mean, that's a tough matchup team, but again, you took away two really good young forwards to make that deal, and then all the picks and all the pick swaps. And
I think they got that team too. Have they played in Brooklyn yet?
They play in Brooklyn.
Oh, they got Brooklyn still too.
Yeah.
And your boy cooking again.
Yeah, I told
your boy cooking again.
You want to?
No, I ain't going there because Paul George had 40-something last night. I'm not going back on that.
What's Paul George got to do with?
Because you said he was like Paul George.
No, I said he could. No, see, that's why people don't trust the media is because of stuff like that. That's that.
But he's
what's
cooking,
that called?
though.
Aggregating. What's that called? That's what Kenny's doing.
That boy Brooklyn cooking though. He's cooking.
He's good, man.
That boy is cooking.
What
he had 38 last night.
I feel like he's had 38 like 7 times since being a Brooklyn Net. I think Bridges' ceiling is high.
Oh, I'm a huge Mikal Bridges fan. Like, that dude's really, really good, and he's the guy they put on De'Aaron the whole time. Just like, oh, we'll just slow you down with this long, gangly guy that can defend anybody. Yeah. It's kind of what Minnesota did. They used McDaniels against De'Aaron and tried to slow him down that way.
And in the future, he's a man of his word. The future, Ant-Man, late in that game, said, "I got De'Aaron." Ant-Man, a man of his word. He talked about the other day. He said these top players need to go guard each other. And Ant-Man in the fourth quarter was guarding De'Aaron Fox. That's why I like Ant, man. I like that dude, man. He's a man of his word. He talks it, but he walks it.
Speaking of De'Aaron, we saw his 30-plus point game streak coming to an end on Saturday. It continued on Friday. Did you get a chance to talk to De'Aaron after the game? Him and Russ were talking a lot, and I know what a big fan De'Aaron Fox is of Russell Westbrook. And Russ had his best game as a Clipper that night, and it took every point from De'Aaron Fox for the Kings to win that one.
Someone did ask him about the sort of growing up idolizing Russ, and and he was very complimentary. De'Aaron was. He said, "Look, like everyone in the NBA, like that is probably the most scrutinized player in the league. Everybody who's in the league though loves a guy. Everyone who's been his teammate loves a guy.
Yeah.
So like whatever happens with him, if he makes mistakes, he makes mistakes. In that game, he did make a catastrophic mistake, which cost his team the ball game. Which again, it shouldn't have happened that way because the officials should have just called the 8-second call because they did not get the ball across half court before they flung it to Westbrook and the ball slipped out of his hands.
I'll throw a better pass next time.
That was a great pass.
Yeah. Well, it was a hurried pass because it was a second late at least.
Shut up. It was not. It was a little high.
That was a picture perfect pass.
It was not.
It go through his hands.
In a moment like that,
high.
I mean, that was the ball game. Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
I ain't sad about it. That's my guy, but it didn't hurt my feelings at all.
Yeah.
Textbook pass.
What's
there
it
by,
was not.
Eric
It was,
Gordon, I think it was. I don't know.
had to reach for
You
it.
see, Ruster had some people thrown out.
At the Golden One Center?
Yeah.
No, I missed that.
It was around that time. I think it was before one of those last possessions. Somebody, of course, I got tossed.
Probably Lance
Russ was like,
Woods.
these two.
Lance Woods was filming the whole thing. It's probably Lance Woods. You can confirm if
I
Lance
said,
Woods was.
these two, get them out. They probably saying something out of pocket. I talked to you about this at the game. I don't know why people are so hard on Russell Westbrook. Like, I don't get it. Like, they boo him and they on his head so tough in Sacramento. The hell has he ever done?
I think they were booing him on Friday because he was beating Sacramento's ass on Friday.
They do it in the starting lineups.
No, I don't know.
Like, what the hell did Russ ever do to anybody? Remember they had the thing, and somebody alerted us to it. Remember they did the
Cold as
ice thing?
Yeah, Kevin John mentioned that. Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why people don't like Westbrook so much. I don't get it.
I don't know that they don't like him. I think that as he's aged in the league, he's become more of a caricature of himself, like as a player. So like the stats they look inflated. He makes so many mistakes in the game that are like obscene mistakes that no one makes. And you're watching it like, dude, you're 6 feet away and you just hit the side of the backboard. Or the one where like he accidentally threw the ball off of Keegan Murray's face or something. And it was an accident. Like, what in the world are you doing where you just like hit someone in the face like from 5 feet away? There's so many like Shackton moments with him. I kind of relate it like JaVale McGee. JaVale McGee is a very good player.
Stop this.
No,
He's not like
but
JaVale McGee.
no, but like to a certain degree, like JaVale McGee is actually a really good player. But you think of all the mistakes that JaVale makes. The difference is that one of them has had like 800 times the opportunities than the other guy.
Well,
And
one
so-
is a Hall of Fame player and the other
Oh,
is
yeah,
not.
totally.
And then is that okay? But is that a reason to like boo the guy relentlessly?
Yeah, I
Look
don't
at
know
that.
why he gets that. It's kind of even like when Buddy Hield and Tyrese
But he's a
Halliburton came through.
jackass
Yeah, but
to
Buddy,
Sacramento.
but really,
Russell
he
is not a
wasn't,
jackass
though.
to Sacramento.
No, but he really wasn't that bad. I mean, was there?
No,
stuff?
he was a jackass.
No, he
Was
was a
there stuff-
jackass to Sacramento.
Yeah.
Russell hadn't done nothing to Sacramento. And I don't know
Yeah.
why.
But he's
he
a
gets
jackass.
that.
But he's still a jackass to Sacramento.
Yes, now he is. Yes. But while he was here, like Buddy showed up every night. He played hard. He never missed a game.
Dribbled the ball off of his
I was
foot
about
in
to
key
say,
moments.
He had
Oh,
some
yeah.
playing hard turnovers.
Shot 3/4 of the length court shots with 7 seconds left on the clock.
Had
Yeah.
Alvin Gentry like
Oh no, that
on the
was
bench just throwing
he
his hands
took
up.
he took that one with I think 20 seconds on the clock from like 38 feet.
and Alvin had enough.
He had my
I had
favorite
enough
one
in
of
that
all
one.
time, the Tyrese Halliburton one, where he heaves it, bounces off the rim. Tyrese puts it back, gets the point, turns around and looks at Harrison Barnes. What the F was that? And Harrison probably just said, "That's life with Shavano, homie."
I think Harrison was like had a facial expression like
Harrison just looked at me and said,
"Bro."
"It'd be like that sometimes. It'd be like that sometimes." Yeah.
I don't know how we got on that, but I don't know why Russ gets the vitriol.
Well, I asked about De'Aaron and Russ.
Yeah.
Because I've joked about Lance Woods. Lance Woods did have a great video of those two talking to each other during a free throw, like really kind of like going at it before they both walked away smiling, like they were battling the whole game, and they both had really good games. I mean, I know they've since lost. They lost that Minnesota game, but we talked about the opportunity in the Clippers have since won, but we talked about the opportunity in terms of the Sacramento Kings to kind of put the Clippers in your rear view mirror a little bit by getting another win and securing the tiebreaker. And they were able to do that again. They were able to do that on Friday by again securing a 1-point victory. They have beaten the Clippers twice in a span of 7 days by a combined 2 points.
Yeah, it's over. Like the Clippers can't. I mean, I can't imagine them catching.
I think the
it's-
score 402 to like 400 if you
Jeez.
combine those
Yeah.
two games.
There's 7 games back in the loss column. That's just not. I mean, with 19 games remaining,
Yeah.
if
Well-
the Kings go 12-7, the Clippers have to win every single game.
That's crazy. It makes who he root for a little easier when the Clippers are involved.
Yeah, in Western Conference games, because you
Yeah.
always root for the Clippers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even the Lakers Warriors game yesterday, like no Kings fan wants to cheer for the Lakers, but
Yeah,
that was such a
good
huge
win for the
victory.
Kings. Yeah.
Huge victory for the Kings.
Yeah.
That the Lakers snuck up and beat the Warriors. That put the Warriors are now 5 games back in the loss column. And that's huge. The Kings play them the second to the last game of the season, though.
Yeah.
You know, guys, it's been said
Here they'll be
before.
going. The Warriors will be going for their 10th road win of the season.
It could
They
be.
they might only be going for their 9th at that point.
I think they got a Houston game on the road, so I'm giving them that one. They could be going for number 10, but you know, it's been said
It'll
plenty of
motivate 'em.
times. But this version of who he root for is so much better than the one we're used to, where it's like rooting for the Rockets to win.
Lottery balls.
Yeah.
We need
Come
the
on,
Pistons to win.
Spurs. Yeah.
It's
That's funny.
a dynamic. The final month of the regular season we haven't experienced in a very, very long time.
I was
James
talk-
had one kid the last time that this happened, and now he's got multiple kids in high school.
That's true.
I absolutely did not have a kid. I don't even know if I was in a relationship.
Yeah. I was talking to Mark Jones this morning about this after shoot around, and just like how many games, like I've written 50 losing game recaps in a season, almost every season, my entire like 13 years. Like it's been brutal to watch, and to see this thing turn around is really fun, but also to like see the fans return and all that stuff, to have everybody on board. Yeah.
I
no,
made James laugh with the chat. That's what that was.
yeah. I actually
Kings were last in the playoffs. James only had one boat.
no, I didn't even have a boat the last time the Kings were in the playoffs, just so you know.
The lake was still being built.
Yeah.
Where his
There it
house
is,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
The security guard wasn't yet armed to get to James's house.
let's just say, you know, for argument's sake, De'Aaron doesn't go tonight. We talked about him a little bit earlier. Does this open up the door for Kessler Edwards to play a little bit more? Maybe he guards a Brandon Ingram. You got Davion starting. So maybe it's more Kessler, less Delly.
I don't know. Maybe I'll just say this: that Mike Brown has been so consistent this entire season that, you know, when Fox is out, it's always Davion starting. If Herter's out, it's always Terrence Davis starting. Harrison Barnes, knock on wood, hasn't missed a game. For that matter, has Keegan missed a? Oh, Keegan missed one game
missed the
early.
first game of the season.
Oh, did Harrison miss the first game?
No,
Keegan
Keegan did.
And he's played ever since. Huh?
No, I want to say that there's one other game where Keegan had some random low back problem or something where he missed. Maybe I'm incorrect there.
That's okay. I'm going to the internet.
Harrison's played every game though.
Yeah.
Yeah, you kind of can't put a price on that. Like,
yeah,
that's pretty big.
I think Domas has missed one game,
And
when that happened, is that when he went Alex Lynn at center?
Yeah, because he was playing Jokic.
Yeah, but I remember like seasons where we get to like 30 games in and we've already seen 21 different starting lineups.
Jeez.
And that's just not the case this year.
Keegan Murray missed game 1 and game 14.
Yeah, he missed a random game with a low back issue. It was either low back or it was in
game 14.
Yeah.
I don't know why this is so important, but
is it against Cleveland?
I left that page. I'm trying to check out.
Yeah.
Harrison Barnes really has not missed a game all year.
No, Domantas has missed 2. One with a thumb injury, and did he get sick?
That's the story that he's missed 2. Like that's crazy.
Herter's only missed 3.
That game was against the Spurs, by the way.
Davion has played in 62 of the 63 games. And the one I want to say is a DNP CD because I don't remember him missing a game. Monk has played 60. So that's really it's a huge reason why the Kings are where they are. Like their top, 8 guys. If you go Lyles, Mitchell, Monk, Murray Herter, Barnes, Fox, Sabonis. Fox has missed he's missed 6 games.
Mm.
But outside of that, the next is, even Trey Lyles has played in 57 games. He hasn't missed one due to injury. The 3 games he didn't play they were healthy scratches. Everyone else is 60 games.
I said this before. Like some people make that as if it's something that has to be apologized for. Like the Kings don't have to apologize for being healthy.
Well, no, and they don't have to apologize because their players play through injury and the other teams don't. I mean, but Sabonis's hand has been messed up forever. I mean, I talked to him about it the other day. I like, what's going on? He goes, we're gonna go and check it out during this summer, and like as soon as the season's over, we'll check it out and see if it needs surgery or not. But for right now, like, he's playing through it.
And Keegan's hand just started getting taped up, and no one really said why.
Yeah, we asked him, and
Keegan
wasn't allowed to say why.
He's just taping up his hands.
Yeah, it was one of those weird ones where they didn't divulge what it was. He had it taped up for 8 weeks.
Jeez,
that is wild.
Gracious.
And then he didn't have to have it taped up anymore, and was like, "Yeah, I don't have to have it taped anymore. It's healed." And we're what healed?
Was Rashawn at practice today?
Yeah, Rashawn was back at practice today.
Okay.
He's missed the last 2 games of the non-COVID related illness. He may have had
get those.
He may have had the Sacramento Bee sneeze or something. I'm not sure what it was. The Sacramento Bee flu. I'm not quite sure. But yeah, he's back. He was back at practice.
I do want to say this before we get out of here. I want to see a game from my guy Zero today, man. Ever since that 45-point game, he's been a little quiet. I want to see him step up tonight.
Yeah, someone might have been particularly hard on them on a recent edition of the Kings Beat podcast. I'm not going to say who.
I want to see a game where both Herter and Monk are both on fire.
That just can't happen, though.
It hasn't happened.
It's impossible.
It's
literally impossible. Lord said no. This can't happen.
They're like the Corsican twins. Like, as soon as something goes good for one, something goes bad for the other. I don't know.
I don't understand that reference at all.
Cheech and Chong, man.
Okay. All right. James always good to level us right back out. Tomorrow, Ricky Starks will be with us here on D-Lo and KC. It's happening. Ricky Starks will be with us tomorrow, as will, and I know this sounds strange, Trista Crick will be with us tomorrow.
It is lit. The professor with us too.
The professor will be with us as well.